Now that we're paying for ground beef, we were just paying for steak, and we're paying for steak, we were just paying for a Holland Tunnel hand job. A trip to the grocery store, for many, is starting to feel like being ball-gagged and taking to Zed's back room. But since we aren't yet to the point where we're caving in our neighbor's skull just to get something to eat, now might be an opportune time for me to give you some advice on how to eat heartily and eat well for a little less scratch. Which is why I'm here to give you 5 tips to help you eat like an Italian. American. Now, first things first, are you an Italian? As in, an Italian in Italy Italian? Nobody cares. These are different things, which means naturally, these are also going to be different things. So trust me when I say that we know perfectly well that your food exists. It isn't a lack of understanding that causes us to use more cream, garlic, and onion. So before you clutch your pearls and start looking around for your fainting couch, please understand that we don't care. So you can take your tomatoes, say thank you, and fuck off. Now, where were we? Oh yes, here are 5 ways to cook like an Italian. American. Tip 1. Get the better pasta. You know those food channels where they're teaching a recipe and standing in an ordinary kitchen not unlike yours, and it seems like they're just here to teach regular human beings how to cook something? But then they start breaking down huge cuts of meat that no one can afford. They start pulling out things like blow torches and pasta machines that no one owns and ingredients that no one has access to. I hate those channels, and I have no idea who they're for. Oh, that's who they're for. The reality is that most people, even those watching YouTube, are just trying to make do with what they have and what's within their budget. And I know that when I go to the store, I'm always looking for the cheapest version of whatever I need, with almost no exceptions. Except for pasta. So a package of pasta is $1 to $2, but there's usually another one that's in the $3 to $4 range. Get that one. Try and save money on everything else you buy, but when it comes to pasta, those couple of dollars really do make a world of difference. The choice of flour, the dye used to cut it, the drying process, it all adds up to a much better product and a much better meal that is well worth the money. So go cheap on whatever you need to, but get the good pasta. Tip number 2. Finish your pasta in the sauce. Imagine, if you will, a car commercial. There's a nice luxury sedan and a voiceover from a celebrity that you recognize. There's a panoramic shot of a car cruising down a desert highway, the landscape bathed in the light of early evening. But then suddenly, the commercial ends with a shot of the car careening off the road, straight through a barricade and right over the edge into a ravine. Now imagine if every car commercial was exactly like this, all of them ending with a shot of the car driving into a lake, off a bridge, or into a brick wall. That'd be weird, right? And yet, whenever you see a commercial or advertisement for pasta or pasta sauce, they all do the equivalent of this with their product, because every image is of a plate of dry, cooked spaghetti with tomato sauce just haphazardly thrown over top, which is not how you should be treating pasta or the sauce it's served with. See, this may sound obvious, but when you're cooking pasta, the noodles soak up the boiling water, rehydrating it as it cooks. Then, when you take the pasta out, it stops cooking. So when you throw it in a bowl or something and toss the sauce on top, it just sits there. Nothing is soaked into the noodle and nothing sticks. So when you cook pasta, you should be cooking the sauce in a separate pan, pulling the noodles a couple minutes before they're done, and let it finish cooking in the hot sauce. This way, the noodles are able to soak up the sauce and take on the flavor. Tip number 3. Grate your cheese. See this? It's $3 to $4. See this? It's $4 to $5. Now see this? This is how much cheese you get from a bag of pre-shredded cheese. And this is how much you get if you spend 5 minutes and grate it yourself. Also, this tastes terrible compared to this, and in order to keep this from oxidizing, they coat it in this. Look, it's a way better value, it tastes light years better, and it takes like 5 minutes in a cheese grater you can get at the dollar store. Now, I'm lazy. I'm the type of guy who lets the trash can overflow, pushes everything down, and lets it overflow again before I even consider taking it out. But even I can recognize that doing this one thing makes everything better, and it's well worth the effort. So grate your damn cheese. Tip number 4. Advanced Pastaology. Has this ever happened to you? You realize that you really like pasta with cream sauces, and once you realize that buying it in a jar is like paying a bird to shit in your mouth, you decide to try making it yourself and are amazed to find that there's only like 3 or 4 ingredients in it. So you go to make your own Alfredo, and it turns out looking, smelling, and tasting pretty good. So you fix yourself a plate, and you're proud of what you've accomplished. Until it's a few minutes later, and your beautifully silky, creamy sauce now looks like this. It's clumpy, separated, and broken. Honestly, it's kind of disgusting. So what the hell happened? Okay, we're now going to get into some advanced pastaology. So I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Fat. You'll find him in milk, cheese, butter, cream. But the thing about Fat is that he's almost never alone. There's usually some kind of water hanging out with him in varying amounts. So when you make some luxurious creamy sauce, Fatty and his buddy are happy to oblige you by melting and coalescing into a viscous state, but only while things are piping hot. Once they aren't, after say a few minutes on your plate, Fatty and his buddy Liquid will want to go their own separate ways, resulting in a clumpy, broken sauce. So what do? I mean, this doesn't happen when you go to Olive Garden or hell when you buy that disgusting stuff in the jar. Well, these pre-made sauces include a binding agent, a chemical food additive which on a cellular level grabs onto Fatty and his friends and keeps them together, keeps them stable by creating a chemically induced emulsification. Depressing, isn't it? I mean, who has the time or money to shop for phospholipid chemical compounds just because they want to make a damn Alfredo sauce? Not you, and certainly not me, right? Wrong. We don't have to buy chemical compounds or break into a high school chemistry classroom, at least not for this, because all we need is to find something in our kitchen that will act as an emulsifier. Is it in the pantry? No. Is it in the freezer? No. Maybe the spice cabinet? No. In fact, it has been with us this entire time. You just didn't know to look for it. Have you ever noticed that when you boil pasta, the water it was cooked in gets all cloudy? That is the starch that rinses off of the dried pasta and into the water. And do you know what starch does? It grabs onto fats and liquids and any other kind of molecule and keeps them stable. It creates a natural emulsification. All this time you have been boiling pasta and then dumping out the very thing that makes sauces silky and delectable. So here's what you do, and it means we're going to use every rule that we've covered so far. 1. Get the good pasta. 2. Make your cream sauce with the good cheese that you grated yourself and make it a little bit thicker than you would ideally want it to be. Then, just before you pull the pasta from the boiling water, a few minutes before it's done to cook in the sauce, take a few ladles of water, the starchy water that it was cooked in, and add it to your sauce. It will add starch to it, you can add your pasta, stir everything together, and voila! You will have a silky smooth, creamy pasta sauce you thought that you could only have in a restaurant. Tip number 5. Drop acid. Have you ever taken a bite of something and found it to be bland, so you added a dash of salt only to find that now it's a little bit too salty? That is because your tongue craves contrast, complexity, things that scintillate different parts of it. But because salt is such a crucial flavoring element in nearly everything we eat, it's the first and oftentimes only thing we think to add to make something immediately taste good. But acid is oftentimes what our palates crave. It's the vinegary tang in buffalo sauce, the lemon and lemon pepper wings. Damn, I think I might be craving wings. Anyway, let's keep building on what we've learned thus far and drop some acid. Now, you already know how to make a proper cream sauce, but what happens if we add something acidic to the party? Well, if you were to add lemon juice to cream, it would almost immediately curdle and break. But this is where our double agent starch comes in. That starch will simply grab hold of the fat and the acid and keep everything stable. So armed with our starchy pasta water, we are now free to make all sorts of wondrous, acidic, but still creamy pasta sauces. You can make a white wine garlic cream, a spicy wine and cream sauce using Calabrian chilies, or my favorite, lemon herb Parmesan cream over penne and asparagus. It's all delicious, all relatively inexpensive, and all at your disposal, now that you know how to cook like an Italian. American.